This is a public service announcement from your friendly neighborhood voice of reasons. Parents, we all know that this
Alex, come here! Alex! Awesome! Do I look like a princess now? Yeah, like a little princess. Yay, a princess!
is not okay, right? Right? Alright, I know that me saying that is gonna ruffle some feathers and come across harsh or over the top, but it's not. And here's why. Telling your daughter that she is a prized possession, that she is of much value, is actually founded and positive parenting. The problem happens when we marry the idea of value or being special with the ideal of being a princess. And what's so bad about encouraging little girls to believe they're princesses? I'm glad you asked. Number one, you are lying to your child. Your daughter is not going to be a princess. Princesses are born, not made. Unless you're the king or queen, your daughter cannot be a princess. She can marry a prince, but that makes her a duchess, not a princess. Kate Middleton, Duchess. Meghan Markle, Duchess. Princess Di, Princess. Just kidding, also a duchess. Her official royal title was never princess. You don't choose to be a princess. You can't say, I want to be a princess, then work really hard and be the most fair and the most deserving and then accomplish this goal. And I know what you're gonna say. When I tell her she's a princess, I'm just telling her that she's special and she's highly valued, which is the next problem. The propaganda surrounding monarchs has been so successful over the centuries that we've actually interchanged the idea of value and worth with the word princess. Just think about that for a second. Imagine you really want to communicate to your son how special you think he is, and saying, "Come over here, you little president." How ridiculous. And at least a president has to work really hard to get that gig. Well, in theory anyways. Princesses are born into the role, a role your daughter by definition cannot occupy. Number two, monarchs are a dated and laughable means of controlling the population. One that, to be honest, I'm surprised still exists. I mean, think about it. A family gets to rule the land because why? They were appointed by God or the moon or whatever
erroneous
reason they tell you they get to be in control. You shouldn't be in control because you are rich. And you definitely shouldn't be in control just because your parents are rich. They're not special people. They just have all the money and are winning the information war with their castles and thrones and weddings and servants and crowns. And they keep this control because we let them. Because we buy their
version of the story.
So number two, stop supporting their reign by consenting. And stop consenting by allowing, or even worse, fostering your child's unhealthy fascination with their money and power and fame. Number three, you are not preparing your child for how reality actually works, which is a problem. Because by definition, that is your role as parent. You are there to protect, provide, and prepare your child for their adult experience. I know that sounds simple and obvious, but it is really important. Modern parents seem to think that if they just send their kids to school to get an education, then they've done their job. And I'm not going to get into the whole education thing here, but there's obviously a lot more to being a parent than this. We are designed to learn how to be from our parents. This is how it works in the wild, and how mankind has done it for thousands of years. And it makes sense. Your child is genetically similar to you, lives in a similar location to you, and is probably initially at least going to have a very similar life to you. So who would be better than you to show them how to live? No one. So what do you want to show them? What do you want to teach them about what it takes to make it? How about how important character is? How hard work is rewarded and necessary? How being selfless is a desirous virtue? And how there are things that are more important than money? Do you see the problem? These things are exactly the opposite of the princess methodology. Dreaming about being rich and pretty and being worshipped because you are is not what you should be teaching your child. But it's exactly what you're teaching your child with this whole princess nonsense.
We've always wanted to be a princess as we were growing up. I mean,
most girls do.
exactly, especially when you consider Disney princesses. That's a huge part of any girl's childhood.
Number 4, Disney movies are terrible for children. I know they seem innocent and innocuous, but they're not. And that's probably going to piss you off, and you're going to say, but we were raised on them. Look at how we turned out. And I'm not going to tackle the whole evil Disney thing in this video, but if you don't know this, Disney movies are filled with subliminal messages and a lot of other inappropriate things. One of your goals as a parent should be to keep your child innocent and away from imagery and situations for as long as possible. Being subjected to these kind of things at a young age can really screw a kid up. I'm just going to touch on this for a second and not get too far into it, because I'll save the topic of all the dumb things that Christian parents do for another video. But if you are a Christian parent, you really need to keep this Disney, occult, and magic programming away from your children. Let me get this straight. Harry Potter does magic, and he's the devil. But Mickey does it, and it's fine. Number 5, you are setting your child up for failure with the already daunting task of finding and keeping a mate. Before I get into what I mean, let me ask you a question. Do you want your child to live more years or less years? Well, the data says that married people live longer. Whether it's simply because of companionship or being able to pool resources or having something to live for, whatever the reason, it's a statistical fact that if you are in a happy marriage, you are going to live longer and be healthier. So how does watching Disney princess movies or rom-coms, which are just the adult version of Disney movies, make it harder to find and keep love?
Shut up.
It's simple. Implanting in the mind of your child an unrealistic picture of what a relationship looks like and what their prospective mate is going to actually be looking for is setting them up for failure. The term suspension of disbelief has been defined as a willingness to suspend one's critical faculties and believe something surreal. It is the sacrifice of realism and logic for the sake of enjoyment. And it is rampant in today's everyone's a star, selfie, Instagram culture. Think about it. We have a society filled with unhappy couples, where the guys run around pretending that they're Batman and the girls believe that they're princesses, and relationships aren't lasting, which is a huge shock. And if you think that watching this kind of programming is innocent, and the kids won't believe they're princesses, or even worse, if you don't think that what they're watching is important, you are wrong. Children do what they see, including what they see on TV, which makes sense. They're figuring out what they are and how this place works. Their worldview is forming. Their subconscious is being written. Over the last few years, we've all learned just how important it is to give our kids the right kinds of food and drink. We need to be just as diligent, if not more mindful, with what we put in their impressionable and amazing little minds. Oh, and if you're going to try and live out your princess dream by having your magic ball fairy tale wedding, just know that statistics say the more money you spend on a wedding, the less likely your marriage is to last. Couples that are trying to live the fairy tale relationship, the kind that starts with a fairy tale wedding, might be more likely to struggle. Because this is real life, not a movie. And as beautiful as it is, this life is challenging and complicated, and so are relationships. As a parent, we need to prepare our children for how things are, not how Hollywood tells us they should be. Number 6, and this will be my last point. When your child is looking for a hero in the realm of fictitious characters, the hero that they are actually looking for is you. So stop finding ways to outsource this responsibility and be the kind of person that they need you to be.